right, we're live. We're doing some spontaneous live talk right now. With my friend Angel here. I'm Stephanie. I am social justice birth worker, and we're going to be talking about some cool stuff here in a bit. So, Angel, what do you do? What do you do, Angel? Like, what's your
Hi,
background?
my name is Angel. Um, I'm just a metaphysician. To keep it short, these conversations for me are really eye opening, and I hope that you all find something that's beneficial.
Yeah, so before we went live, we were like contemplating, like, what are we going to talk about, right?
Clearly.
I was like, what are we gonna do? Why are we going live for? Yeah, let's just think about this right now. So, I mean, like things that I've been carrying within the week, and today was being present, like not thinking so much about the past, even though it does come in to my present moment at times, but then just be able to just be like, be here, and not go crazy thinking about the future, even though sometimes I might want to go over there, but it just doesn't really draw me too much to be stuck there. That we're always constantly on the go, go, go. So this is why it's important to be present. And I feel like, people are always saying like, oh, things will get better. Like, don't worry. Don't think about it. But I feel like sometimes not thinking about things makes us always trying to be in the distraction zone. And that's where we get stuck. And that's what I'm carrying. And then Angel was sharing more stuff. So, like, what are you carrying, Angel?
I definitely feel that like the pushback from being present and being present with self. There's so many different distractions that we can tune into versus tuning into the actual frequency or the actual resonance that moves us forward. So the distractions obviously they keep us in like a loop or some sort of cycle. And it's like putting the same song on repeat, and that same song keeps you at a very low, very stagnant frequency. And yeah, so I can definitely relate to that. And lately, I've been taking on new habits, different things to get me going, different things to keep me moving forward. One of the things that I like to speak about a lot is how movement actually propels our DNA, propels our memories to cycle in a way that's beneficial to us. Like things that actually give the saying or the reference that hindsight is 2020. In order to have a healthy memory, we have to take care of our DNA. We have to take care of our
Mm-hmm.
blood. So movement is how that happens. When you move and when you are moving in a way that's healthy, that's in the way that's like getting your body to respond in a good way to you, you're going to activate the DNA. You're going to activate good memories. You're going to activate what keeps the cycle going versus being infiltrated by thoughts and by things that are of less value. I hate to put it that way, but I'll just say that things that are of less value, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, right, because we're trying to learn. We're trying to to connect with ourselves, to honor ourselves, to believe that we have self-worth, and to do all that, we need to be aware of where we're at. Like, where are we stuck? Where is our mind? Where is our emotion? What are we doing? What are our habits? Like, what gets us irritated? What makes us happy? You know, like, like I don't know. I feel like we sometimes are so focused on others but not really connecting them with like when we're connecting like in our true self, but more like a distractive mechanism where we're just focused on others' needs and we forget about our own, you know? And so then things become stagnant. Even though we're on the go, 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 like being busy, we gotta get up, we gotta do, you know, school, work, kids, cook, laundry, all these things. We're still moving our body, right? But what's the difference between the one that you're saying, like the other type of movement versus just being on the go and go, go, go? You know? So I feel like there's a difference between those two.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that you bring up like the tending to other people's needs type thing. And one of the challenging things about honoring truths is being able to stand present and be an ear for other people. Like, it's really conflicting. Of course, we should always take time for ourselves and to honor our, you know, ourselves and what we believe in, and speaking from a place of vulnerability and allowing our truths to be heard, not only by others, but by ourselves. But there is a different type of courage that you tap into when you are able to realize, when you are assisting other people, that they too are coming from a level of truth within themselves. And so it's just, I was thinking about that today. One of my oracle cards, it was actually called Truth, and the illustration on it was in reference to the Cherokee talking stick. And it was in tradition that every rising, what they would do after like watching the sunrise or whatever, they would go back into their community and they would sit around with the chief or with some leader. And even in like serious times, but it was also used as like a daily practice, right? But yeah, so they would go around with a talking stick, and the stick itself was just like a symbolic tool of it held space, basically. Like, it held space for everyone. And whenever it was in your hands, like, you had to truly and vulnerably come out and speak about where you are, you know, speak about your observations. And it was used as a tool to connect and to weave the tribe even deeper, you know, on the consistent basis. So there was no lies that were hidden. There was nothing that was being held back from oneself and from those around you. And I think that obviously is an important tool if we are looking to grow together, if we are looking to support each other in a healthy way. But also it strengthens, like, the throat chakra is what we would refer to. It strengthens how we are able to communicate. And when we are communicating to other people, we have the opportunity to actually hear ourselves. You know, it's a different world when you are just thinking versus when you are speaking. And the spoken word is what creates more of a profound reality than just the thoughts. Mm-hmm. And getting those to work symbiotically is what ultimately serves as living proof for what being led means. Honoring your truth, following your inner compass. What we were speaking about a few moments ago, that's what brings that about. It creates the setting. It creates the field that you're navigating on. You know? So
yeah, I feel like you're talking about that's where we want to be, like the end goal, right? That, you know, being honoring ourselves, being real, being authentic, in unity of a collective. But I just kind of want to go back, you know, like rewind. But I feel like before you could get to that point, you know, like you were saying, like, we're going to be here for others as someone to hold space and listen. But to even be in that that space for that capacity, it requires for ourselves to be able to identify uncomfortable emotions within ourselves. Because when people are going to express happy or uncomfortable feelings, we live in a society that is very uncomfortable with uncomfortable stuff, you know, and so we don't know what to do. We're like, I don't know what to do. Like, they're like, everything's fine, you know, you're so strong, you know, you're like a warrior, and we start saying like these like
Gaslight.
annoying, I
Yeah.
feel like annoying and stupid things, or like, you know, like even going in through one relationship and then going back and then having breaks and going back, whatever. Like it's like you're trying to heal, but then you're like yanking a scab, and then you have to heal again and yanking the scab, and then you're just like, oh well, this is the third time you like tore that scab and reopened that wound. It should probably feel better, right? Like it should be easier, right? Because you kind of been here multiple times. But it doesn't mean it's simple. It's just not. It's not easy, you know. Like, and then they
Yeah.
say these things, and it's like, well, no, yes, it should, but obviously no. And what I'm trying to say is that we need to learn how to identify our own emotions and understand to go deeper. Why are we feeling these uncomfortable emotions when we are triggered, or we are put in a situation of loss, or something stressful comes up, like even just stress in our daily day, you know, like we're going, we gotta do this, we gotta do that, and everyone has lives, and you gotta go and handle things, and we're trying to just survive. We're all just surviving, right? And sometimes we don't even pause. We just don't breathe and just say, okay, where am I? What am I doing at this moment? What am I feeling? Identify emotion. And then from there, you're like, where does it feel? Where do I feel this in my body? And how does it feel in my body? And then go, what can I do? Like, what do I do to relax or come to center or ground? How can I shift this energy that's stuck? Like right now, I feel my hip, and I always struggle with one of my hips. And it's like, you know, like, why do I feel this? You know, like we start having a conversation. I feel like even before we could even have a conversation with others, we have to learn how to have a conversation with our own bodies and be like, hey, body, do you want to tell me, like, why are you feeling tense here?
Mm.
You know, what's going on here? And then the more that we practice to be present with ourselves, even when we're grieving, you know, like we get stuck and we're distracted and we want to get distracted, but then we get stuck when we're triggered, because then we have these like intense emotions and we don't know what to do, and sometimes they feel so scary and big. We want to push it away and put it in a box because we don't want to handle it, because we don't know what to do with it, right? Like you were saying a while back, we don't know what to do with ourselves. And it's like, okay, well, once we're talking to our bodies, we're digging, we're listening to ourselves. Here's a big big emotion, and you're like, okay, now what do I do? And then I think this is where people get stuck, because you know, we could try to read books and try to be aware and have all this awareness and be like, oh yes, but then what do we do with this? What do we do with this big emotion? And this is where like movement comes. This is where breathing comes. This is where really feeling how this emotion feels. This is where crying comes. This is where journaling comes. This is where like you could do yoga or stretching, you know, comes, and breathe into it, and just say thank you for showing me this emotion. And then if you could have the capacity to dive deeper and deeper, or your body feels comfortable to share where this comes from, then you're able to release it, you know? And that's just one layer. And then when you continue to release, you know, doing all these different layers, then I feel you have the capacity to hold space for others. in a way that it feels authentic, where there's no lies, where it feels real, and you are hugging together what they're trying to share, because you're not trying to like, they're there. You're strong. Yeah, you're gonna overcome this. Yay. Okay. You know. I don't know. That's what that made me thought or think when you were saying all that stuff.
So like I see within that like different scenarios playing out. The one thing that I'm remembering is something that I've been going in and out of studies on, simply because it takes self-awareness. Like it really takes true awareness in order to untangle and to truly understand the topic of it. But that's just how closely related conversion and conversation is. So when it comes to energetics within oneself, energetics within what is surrounding you, there are 3 ways that you can deal with energy. That's reflecting it back out onto the reality, like being a direct mirror, taking it in and harnessing it, and then transmuting it. But if you don't know what the energy is, if you don't know how to identify it, because you haven't taken the time within yourself to understand what that energy means, you don't know how to communicate it. You don't know what to do with it. And it becomes a conversation that is either useless, a conversation that is horrible, when it can be beneficial. And we have conversations with things around us on the daily basis. It's not just speaking to each other. It's the conversation that you have when you wake up every morning and you're determining how you're going to set your affirmations. It's the conversation that you're having with your body in order to understand, well, once again, why is my hip hurting? Where is this coming from? How can I identify the source of that? And how can I actually work with it? It's an energy. And if you can't identify those energies, if you cannot be present enough, once again, with self, in order to work with it, then the conversation just becomes static. And I feel like we're dealing with that a lot right now. It's just static. And that goes back into what we were saying before, like that inability to actually listen. What hinders our responses, our inability to be responsible, which is why it's easy to gaslight somebody or to be extremely dismissive when we clearly see someone's wounds. We clearly see how we've affected other people, how we've affected our environments. We're not always dumb, like we see it. It's just that we don't know how to work it. We don't know how to change the situation. So it's easier to become numb to it versus resolving it or taking action in some way that's going to be beneficial for the party, for yourself, for just your direct environment.
Yeah, because it's like, how can we hold space for others in a more authentic and vulnerable space, or in a vulnerable way? And how can we grow together and know how to do this dance with each other? Because, like, there's never going to be any type of relationship with friendship, coworkers, intimate, children, parents, whatever, once 2 people join together, no matter what level of or category relationship is a relationship, we're going to eventually trigger each other. Okay? Because it's like we're putting a mirror, seeing a mirror within each other. And then that mirror, we're seeing things in ourselves. And if we can even communicate and identify our own feelings and have a conversation with our own body and be able to understand what makes us happy or what makes us feel good, or how do we relax, or how do we distress, like knowing how to soothe ourselves. If we don't know how to soothe ourselves, and when someone is enlightened with a strong emotion and we just both get enlightened with strong emotions and we're not able to communicate, then this is where things are gonna go south. One becomes too shut down, one becomes too like
Mhm.
overwhelmed like intensely and needs things like now or numb or dismissive.
So the
Um,
basis of that conversation was just that using elementals, learning at the root how to use elementals in a more adept way, in a more mature way.
what do you mean elementals?
So if you're waking up one day, and this is why that time with yourself every rising is so important. If it's just 5 minutes of you self-reflecting, setting your intentions, praying, whatever it is that you have to do it. Because when you arise and when you come forth to first seeing that reflection within self, you're going to be able to identify, I'm feeling a little bit fiery today. Or, I feel really watery today. And because you're already cloaked with some sort of element that particular day, and it has a lot of different reasons, and there's a lot of different reasons as to why you will be more present and more strong with one element versus the other. You know, that's just within your energy. That's within your makeup, your biorhythmic makeup. It's how you're functioning. You know, with your own cosmic clock compared to the larger scale. So if you're coming in and you're, like I said, like you're feeling really fiery one day, and you know that you're pure fire, it is then up to you to be responsible. As the law of responsibility states, you're not only responsible for yourself, but responsible for everything that happens around you. So if you are aware of that energy that is heavy with you today, and it's not something that you can easily transmute, it means that you need to work with it. And that's honestly, that's how a lot of lessons come into play. That's how we actually learn, is when we're actually when we're doing the conversion. It's like it's alchemy. It's the premises of
Mm.
alchemy, and it's within our coexistence. It's within our own individual existence. And so if you know how to combat, the rest of your day, the rest of the interactions, the rest of the story that's going to play out throughout the day based on the element that you're operating out of, then you bring more balance. Because if you're not aware of where you are currently, then you're just going to screw everything up, basically, is what I'm saying. And I'm more thinking about fire, because what
Yeah.
actually brought that to mind, and when I went really started studying that, is when I caught myself being really, really imbalanced with my emotions one day. And it was with someone that, like when you meet like a soulmate or something like that. And they can easily be a mirror to you, more of a mirror than anyone else in the reality, right? And so like I caught myself like really into
Mm.
like the fire element, and I was like, wait, because it's not that I'm trying to control the situation, but
Just a
but
little. It's good.
this could have a better outcome for us both, and it cannot actually hurt someone. You know, it could actually save something from repeating a cycle, because I'm starting to identify
Mm.
where I am. I'm starting to identify what it is that I'm feeling, you know and so what I found, and what I continuously realized, is that we are constantly operating out of different elements. There's the set elements within ourselves, our zodiac, but there's things that come about every single day that alters where we are, and we have to learn how to ride with those energies in order to take care of our environments, in order to take care of ourselves. And it just takes listening. It takes listening, and it takes being present in order to identify those energies. And the more familiar you become with the elements, the more of a master, you are of your reality. I'm gonna go get my charger.
Okay.
You want to go ahead and take over for a second because I forgot it.
No worries. Well, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I never thought of connecting elements with emotions, but you also think about chakras, right? And if your one chakra is like super active or underactive, that's linked to different emotions. But like one day I remember waking up and I'm just so angry. I'm just so pissed. I'm just so pissed and angry, and I'm just like, fucking shit. Like, why am I feeling this way? And everything was irritating me just because I already woke up so angry. I'm carrying all these emotions that I probably have not really broken down, that is, accumulating, that is generating angriness. And I remember I had to have like a really strong conversation with one of my children. And I remember before even having that conversation, I'm having a conversation with myself that, okay, I am really pissed off with myself, with the world, and apparently everything else is just irritating me more. And I know I'm going to have a strong conversation with one of my children, and I need to chill the hell off, because this anger that I have, is it really my child? Like, I'm really upset with my child. I'm like, no, I just need to address something. Like, we have to have a conversation, and we're going to have to be in a space that we could both come together, where in the end we'll make a plan that feels good for each other, for ourselves, and together as a team, so we could continue, you know, operating in this household. So at least I was able to identify that this anger that I was carrying is not because of her. So if I'm gonna have a conversation, I need to like keep myself in check, because obviously I'm carrying something. So I think that really helped, just to influence and put myself in check, that I'm not going to go and vomit this anger on her and make something about the situation bigger than it should, just because I was already angry since I woke up. And I think that was like a big, like, I don't know, that's what makes me feel like that example, like the way you were saying about the elements, checking yourself. And this is why it's important to like have a conversation with yourself to know where you're standing at this moment. And if you don't have the time to like work on it at the moment, just know that you have to learn how to separate that this is another individual
Yeah,
segment
just
of
use
yours.
it. Yeah, just use it for what it is. It's like, okay, well, this is obviously fire, or this is obviously water. So even though I cannot sit here and meditate all day, I know that I'm fiery. And so it lies upon you to like really talk with yourself once again and dictate how you're going to use that energy. And the moment that you start doing that though, that's when things start to change. That's when you actually are making time for yourself. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like we're supposed to be in constant meditation. This, like I said, that's like where the learning takes place, because it's not something that you have to sit down in a corner and just chant mantras all fucking day. When you're having those real life situations and you are aware of one principle, you can use that principle and apply it. And once you start applying that knowledge and that awareness, then you grow within the wisdom of yourself. You grow within the wisdom of your ancestors. You're tapping into remembrance. And then you're creating foundation for growth, and you're creating a foundation for milestones of, okay, I learned how to do this. I know how to do that. So now that I know how to operate when I'm feeling this way in these circumstances, then I'm going to use that to change my environment, because that's what we're consistently doing anyway. We're
Mm-hmm.
always trying to figure out how to adapt. We're always trying to figure out how to make ourselves comfortable. We're always trying to figure out how to make sense of this world around us. So why not use the basic tools and the basic principles in order to do so?
Well,
You
yeah,
know?
because I mean, even having that awareness of yourself, like, okay, I'm feeling this way, that's even an opportunity to ask your family, the collective, people around you that you need help. Like, say, hey, like, today I'm super angry. Like, I just know I'm carrying a lot of anger today. And if I become a little snappy, like, say a word,
Mm-hmm.
like, I feel like you're becoming a little intense with me right now. And that will help me to, like, other people are helping you to keep yourself in check, because
Yeah.
sometimes you need that. Because sometimes we don't even see ourselves, we don't see how we do stuff, and instead of getting more irritated or angry that someone is pinpointing that, hey, you are becoming a little bit more intense, or they're letting you know that what you're saying or what you're doing right now makes them feel like, you're activating their nervous system,
Yeah.
then you're able to, like, also, like, back off. Right, like you were saying, I don't know if you were saying this before we went live or during live, but you were saying, like, being able to, like, step back and check yourself again, and I think that's all requires awareness. um because if
I
we're not
mean,
able to communicate, then our relationships are going to be very difficult, you
yeah.
know and this all starts, like, all this development and where we're at and who we are in the world and how we're shaped at the moment starts way before we were even born. Like, this is, even from our grandparents, like, it's so crazy how I could go all the way back to that story and
It's in the
understand where.
DNA. That's why we, that's the being present. Like, once again, that's the being present. That's the being aware. Because when you start to get familiar with movement and how things function, you know, moving the body, like I said, is like a way to start. But once you get yourself in a healthy relationship with your DNA, then you're able to actually work through generational trauma.
Yeah, because, like, because I really focus, I mean, everything I do is birth, right? And I really focus on this birth psychology, especially what I do. And it's so crazy, like, even this big, humongous book that I haven't finished reading, I only did what my assignment said. But even with those two chapters, even says, like, even the cell, like, if we really just think about one little particular cell, and I'm not going to go with the fancy names, but, each cell has a wall, and in between the wall is, like, kind of like water, you
You talk
know.
about a nucleus,
Okay, I'm not going
a
there.
membrane.
I'm not going there. Okay, we're just gonna
No,
say,
but those are important terms. Those are important terms because we
yeah,
live within
like,
the nucleus.
I mean, the book said a different word. Can I remember? Absolutely not. But I understand the gist of it. Okay, that's what we're.
Mitochondria.
Okay, we're not talking about energy right now. Mitochondria is the way that we create and make energy. Okay, we're not going with the health coach right now. Okay, so, like, every cell has a wall, and in between the cell and the wall has water, and this water is the one that is going to allow messages to come through. But even that little part, depending on what your parents went through, what your parents are already carrying, what epigenetics they already have on and off, and what's going on with the environment of your mom, all that will affect the characteristic and the behavior of that particular cell, because it has, like, so much, like, I think you said, like, 70 to 80% of water, that one particular cell, and we're made of trillions of cells. That one cell, it has water, and we already know the study of water that it carries memory. So then you're carrying a lot of memory from generation to generation. And then when, you have the egg and the sperm combining, is making you. And this is not even talking about the emotional regulation, like, how is your mom's and your dad's nervous system? How do they communicate? How do they talk over, stressful stuff? What's going on with the environment and the world? Like, what was happening? Like, right now, we were talking about what's going on over there in Gaza, right? So, like, we're not so involved in there at the moment, but, like, just the intensity of those people, what they're experiencing, and, what we're all, you know happy or unhappy about the situation and makes us feel like, oh my God, we're going to go to war and blah, blah, blah. You know, it creates like all these extra layers of stress. You know, like that's just like one example. We don't even know what your other generation has went through at the moment. You know, like even like, can I pay my bill? Can I buy my food? Am I going to have gas? Like all these little things that are a daily basis influence. And how is your parents navigating that stress? Are they able to sit down? Are they pausing? All that stuff. And then we're not even talking about your experience out of the world. And it all shapes us. You know, it's just very fascinating of how everything's interconnected. And then the way you're also explaining your perspective of the elements and, you know, our awareness and be able to step back. I'm just saying it on the birth psychology perspective.
I really wish I knew what word you were talking about. Like, is it the plasma? Is it the membrane?
You know, I'm gonna go get the book.
Please do, because now I'm curious.
Righty. Let me see. Okay. So the part of the cell known as the fourth phase of water, Puck-Luck. Makes me remember a song, but no, it's different. Anyways,
Puck-Luck and drop it.
Yes, that's exactly what I just thought. Okay, sorry. This is a scientist that he's saying that in the stage where the cell is developing in the cellular membranes, and it goes through a phase that is the fourth phase of water, also known as like exclusion zone water. So he's talking about that particular water in the fourth phase of development of the water in the cellular membranes, also known as exclusion zone water.
Exclusion zone. How do you spell Puck-Luck?
Wait, did I say it right? I mean, just a disclaimer. I have dyslexia. Puck-Luck. Pollack, not Puck-Luck. It's Pollack. Pollack, not Pollack.
Oh, that's the name of the fish.
So that's the name of the scientist. And, you know, like this EZ, this water, is composed of 99% of molecules of our body by numbers, and more than 60% of our bodies by weight. So this exclusion zone water is a big portion of our entire body, you know? So, I mean, they're talking about that's how environmental things out of the body and inside the body will affect the nervous system and even down to the cell. And we're just talking about one cell. So now we can just imagine our whole entire body. So yeah, pretty crazy.
I don't think we need to look into that anymore.
Right? You want it to become very scientific?
No, because it's really okay. So, like you said, Pollack, and so like you spelled it out, and like one of the first thing that comes to mind is people of Polish descent. I'm like, what the hell does it have to do with Polish people? And then second, it's a fish. It's part of the cod family.
Okay, now we're going to like a different thing. Well, I mean,
I'm just really curious because the first things that didn't pop up, had nothing to do with birth and with whatever the hell's going on inside of the uterus. And then like I scrolled down and I saw that, but like the first things that come up are like Polish people, cod family, part of the North Atlantic cod.
I mean, yeah, like this is why there's a lot of like why are we studying so much with white folks? You know, like why do
Nah,
we gotta read so
I
much
don't
about
think that
white
does
folks?
that have
So
anything
like,
to do with it? Is that where the Polish people come in? They're trying to take over that area of transformation. What was that? What was that level of communication called?
I'm not there anymore. We're just like we do not have ADHD, guys. Like, I
Okay.
feel like we were in the zone, and now I don't know where we're at.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Let's moving forward.
But yeah, I mean, I think this is a really good topic, and I think it's a good juice, like a good summary. And I feel like if we continue going, it might become a little bit too boring because now we're just gonna prolong it. But I don't know. I just feel like this is a really good intro or topic. It's juicy, And so and I know you're saying that you're creating these cool things, right? So now that I know about the elements, and you were saying now that I have been listening to you more, the blends that now you're going to be creating and customized to people, is it where you're going to be analyzing their elements, or is it something else that you're going to be mapping?
No, I'll be using their current state, like in a way, using the elements, but not totally relying on them. Just using it as a tool. Once again, it's an identifier.
Oh, you're going to be
So
doing numbers. Yes, can't remember. Well, that's cool. It's cool that you're going to be doing some blends to customize people and understand, so they could be able to navigate stuff. And in my end, I'm just going to be doing childbirth classes and trying to understand where people are at and how resilient or what more support that their nervous system, like where the nervous system at. Is it super overactive, or is it super shut down, and then come to a balance in there. That's pretty much what I'm going to be doing.
sounds awesome and sounds fun. Hopefully, we start seeing you more in our local arenas. Miss Dudan.
I know. Yeah, once I have my jams ready.
Your what?
Jams.
You said jabs.
Jab.
Yeah.
No, my jams.
I'm looking forward to that, guys. Support Stephanie and her jams, because her jams are really important. Just saying. They come from seriously, utilizing the knowledge of herbalism and birth psychology and things of that nature, especially women development, hormonal development, all of those things come into play. So
yeah, there could be herbal reproductive jams.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to be creating these really cool blends that are customized to people and where they're at. And
yeah, we have a plan to put a spell on all of you. Just kidding.
Okay, let's delete that. Edit.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you for sharing the space with me, Steph.
Yeah, it was fun, even though it was spontaneous and we didn't know what we were going to do until really develop it.
It was cool. All right. Later.
Wait.
Oh.